Hey, what's up? Welcome to our series, Wondrously Weird Bible Stories, where we dig into the strange, the supernatural, and the most mysterious parts of the Bible. So buckle up, things are about to get seriously weird. Today, we're diving into one of the most intense spiritual showdowns in history, the temptation of Jesus in the wilderness. This isn't just a test of willpower, it's a supernatural confrontation between the Son of God and the Lord of this world. The devil's plan is unoriginal, but after all, it worked in the garden. Maybe it will work here too. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait, what? Did he just say in the garden? I thought we were talking about the temptation of Jesus. Well, I am. Let me explain. Directly after Jesus gets baptized in the Jordan River, the Spirit leads Jesus into the wilderness, where he fasts for 40 days and 40 nights. It's at this time we see Satan enter the story. Let's look specifically at what Satan said to him in Matthew 4, verse 3. Then the tempter approached him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." On top of the blatantly obvious appeal to physical human hunger, Satan is trying to trick Jesus in the same way that he tricked Adam and Eve in the garden. Let's look at Genesis 3, verse 1 to see what I'm talking about. Now the serpent was the most cunning of all the wild animals that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say, 'You can't eat from any tree in the garden'?" In both of these examples, Satan is directly testing Yahweh's rules. While his strategy in the garden was confusion, Satan likely knew that approach wasn't going to work with Jesus, so he adjusted from confusion to a direct challenge by saying, "If you really are the Son of God." Big mistake. Let's look at Matthew 4, verse 4 to see how Jesus responds. He answered, "It is written, 'Man must not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God.'" This doesn't seem to do the trick in either story, so it's time for Satan to take this plan up a notch. Here is also where the parallels start to get interesting. If we flip back over to Genesis 3, Eve tells the serpent directly that God told them not to eat from this tree. So how does he respond? Let's look at verse 4. "No, you will certainly not die," the serpent said to the woman. Now, if we head back over to Matthew for the second temptation, Satan takes Jesus to a very high place. Let's look at verse 6. "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, 'He will give his angels orders concerning you, and they will support you with their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone.'" In both stories, the strategy is strikingly similar. Satan tells them, albeit in different ways, "Come on, you really think God is going to let you die?" This is a direct challenge to Yahweh's love and protection. I love Jesus' response in Matthew 4, verse 7. Jesus told him, "It is also written, 'Do not test the Lord your God.'" In both stories, the adversary doesn't give up. It's time to take this offer to the extreme. Back in Genesis 3, the serpent then says, "In fact, God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Let's compare this to Satan's temptation of Jesus in verses 8 and 9. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, "I will give you all these things if you will fall down and worship me." This temptation is basically the same. Listen to me, and I will make all your wildest dreams come true. But this is where we see a deviation in the outcome. As we all know, Eve grabs the fruit and takes a bite, changing the course of history forever. Back in Matthew 4, verse 10, we see Jesus once again not take the bait. Then Jesus told him, "Go away, Satan, for it is written, 'Worship the Lord your God and serve only him.'" So what's the takeaway here? First, isn't it interesting that the devil basically tries the same playbook on Jesus that he did in the garden? And second, don't lose sight of the fact that Satan really did have the authority to give Jesus all the kingdoms on earth. Otherwise, this wouldn't be called the temptation of Jesus. It would be called the devil tries to trick Jesus. But that's a discussion for another episode. Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed this, don't miss my series on supernaturality and the Bible. The link is in the description. And just remember to keep reading that Bible.